Welcome to another episode of my little Mortal Kombat 11 for Dummies video series. First off, thanks for all the nice feedback on the first one. I really appreciate that. I am just trying to help people get into MK11. If it's a series that you're interested in or haven't tried out before, or maybe haven't played in a while, just want to kind of ease your transition into it because I know that there are some things about it that are a little idiosyncratic, maybe. Today we're going to be talking about mix-ups, pressure, that kind of stuff, and while some of it is the same, basically, as for other fighting games, some of it's also pretty different. The first thing we have to talk about is definitely Hitstun, which is different in Mortal Kombat 11 and NRS games than any other fighting game. In other fighting games, Hitstun refers to your ability to continue a combo. So like this with Kano, this little down one, as you can see on the bottom right of the screen, it's 7-frame startup, and it's plus 10, which means that it should be able to link into itself in other fighting game contexts, but of course it doesn't in this game. Like we talked about in the last episode, in order for there to be a combo, you basically have to start with strings, and some moves just can't start strings. You can't link naturally unless there's a cancel or a specific capture state, so Hitstun just works very differently. The question then is, what use do you make out of Hitstun? Well, in this game, Hitstun just refers to your ability to continue pressure. So while the opponent is stuck in Hitstun, they can't take any active offensive option. They can't hit you back, they can't jump away. They can take defensive options, as we'll talk about, but they are stuck there otherwise. So when you do something like this, those 24 frames, now is the time for your overhead, now is the time for your low, now is the time for your command grab, your regular grab even. Now is the time for your mix-ups. But during this window, the opponent can still take defensive actions. So they can block. They can't be thrown immediately. There's a window of unthrowability, but they can throw tech after that. They can even do a flawless block. So there are things that they can do to still defend against what you want to do as the attacker, but as the attacker, you're the only one who can take proactive action, and that's very valuable, of course. So if you ever find yourself in a situation where you have a lot of hits done, now's the time to bring in your overhead game, your low game, your throws, your command grabs, whatever it may be. This is the time when it's most effective. As far as Blockstun goes, it's actually not super common for moves to have big plus frames in Mortal Kombat. A jumping punch will give you a bunch, right? You got some from a jumping kick as well. As far as like grounded things, it's not mega common. Seems like a lot of stand 4s have plus frames. There are specific buttons that some characters have that will give them plus frames, but it's not nearly as frequent in this game as in many others. When you hear people in the NRS scene talk about jailing, they're talking about the inability to really take much action as the defender. That's applied to both Hitstun and to Blockstun. During Hitstun, you can't do anything. You're jailed. You're in jail, right? If the opponent finds something that is big time plus on block, then again, same kind of thing. You're in jail. That's sort of what they're referring to. Let's get into what the mix-ups actually are a little bit more now. So everybody in the game has an overhead or low mix-up. Different characters will want to hit you with an overhead rather than a low, or with a low rather than an overhead. That really just varies character by character. But at an absolute minimum, everybody has the leap attack universal overhead, just up plus punch, or up plus kick. Everybody at a minimum has down 3, down 4, back 4 is the sweep for everybody. So, there's at a minimum these options, but those are not very damaging. So you have to pay attention to what your opponent's character has. For example, Scorpion has a low starter, right? Those are just things that you have to know and will vary character by character, but that's really one of the major mix-ups in the game. The other major mix-up of Mortal Kombat, of course, is doing throws. And there's a sense in which throws are the same as many other fighting games. You have a forward throw that leaves the opponent on one side of you. You have a back throw that leaves the opponent on the other side of you. But that's really where the similarities end for most, at least 2D fighting games. One substantial difference, as we turn on throw tech here, I'll show you, is that the opponent always takes at least a little bit of damage from a throw. Take a look at Kano's life bar. Always at least a little bit. Another aspect of Mortal Kombat 11 throws is that they have to be teched directionally. So you don't just tech throws with your own throw input, and that is a scary mix-up because, of course, that means that it's a 50-50, and you really can't see which one is going to come out. You do have a pretty significant window in which to throw tech, but the question is still, which direction should you throw tech? And this is dangerous in MK11, even more so than it was in the last couple of Mortal Kombat games. So I'm gonna throw Kano forward here, and I had him do a 1, which was the wrong tech input. The next one, if he guesses wrong again, huge damage, and damage over time in a crushing blow. Very scary situation to have to be confronted with. This directional aspect to throws means that if you have the opponent cornered, you have a little bit of a different mix-up than in many other fighting games, because you'd rather maintain the corner, of course. Maybe you should throw them into the corner, right? Well, the opponent's gonna expect that, and they're gonna tech a forward throw. That's what they're gonna be looking for most commonly. Does that mean you should throw them out of the corner? Well, you do deal some damage, not insignificant damage, but you lose positioning. Is that worth it? Will that set up the crushing blow? Is that worth it? Will that activate the crushing blow? Maybe that's worth it. There are all of these different questions about the directional aspect of Mortal Kombat 11 throws that I find really interesting. In addition, and this is super important, throws are considered highs in Mortal Kombat. So there's a class of moves that will just always whiff over people who are crouching but not holding block. Stand ones, same with throws. So as the defender, you can just decide to not hold block as a way to get under throws. Pretty risky, obviously, because that means that you'll get hit by any mid or any low. And if you want to hold block, that's cool. You can block, but that means that you have to deal with highs, and it means that you get grabbed as well, even if you're crouching. So in order to duck under a throw, you have to purposefully neutral duck. No blocking at all. Of course, this will not be complete without command grabs, which you know I am a big fan of. Command grabs, of course, do exist in Mortal Kombat. Kano's got one of them, right? They do have some differences, though, compared to many other fighting games. So on a character-by-character basis, some command grabs are considered highs that are duckable. Kano's is an example of this. Some characters are not. Garrus's cannot be ducked, for example. Again, that's just a character-by-character thing. You have to know it as the defender. Another interesting difference is that whereas in other fighting games, typically if you have a fast command grab, you'll need to do a button, then wait, then command grab. So you maybe crouching jab into this or whatever. In this game, you can just cancel directly. You just do down one into command grab, and it'll work. And now this is a character-specific thing as well. Different characters will have different buttons that they can cancel from into the command grab and connect. Kano's got a few, right? Stand 1-1. There's different ones for different characters, but this unique aspect of being able to cancel a button into a command grab is really super useful as a command grab lever. And lastly, let's talk about something that is new to Mortal Kombat. It's called flawless blocking. Now, we'll get more into this when it comes to the defensive and wake-up side of Mortal Kombat 11, but there is actually an offensive side to it as well. Now, say that you are trying to pressure, and you've just done something that is slightly minus on block, or isn't plus enough on block for you to guarantee yourself another chance to attack. You can't really take your turn back with a button. You can't really take it back with armor or invincibility, which really don't exist on frame 1 in this game. How do you take your turn back? How do you maintain pressure? Maybe that flawless block is the answer. Flawless block needs to be done within 3 frames of when the opponent's counterattack comes at you, and if you do that, then you get a chance to either cut down on the block stun, or you can cancel your block stun into a launcher. Super useful. So say that as Scorpion, you've just attacked Kano with something that's like 0 on block or -5 or whatever. That's not gonna get punished. You want to maintain your turn. One way to do it is when Kano tries to counterattack, you do one of these guys. You bring in your flawless block up too. So now you've maintained your offensive pressure. Maybe next time in that situation, Kano doesn't want to counterattack. Maybe he wants to do something else instead. But you make him think about it, and that might be really useful offensively as well. One thing that is not a mix-up in Mortal Kombat is side-to-side stuff. A lot of characters have things like teleports that in other games you would have to switch your position on the stick or the controller or the D-pad in order to block. In MK, that's not the case. Just hold that block button. Same thing for cross-ups, which definitely exist, and that are useful still to get around things like wake-up attacks, but the directional block aspect of it, not a mix-up. Again, I hope that this is helpful for you. Please let me know what else you'd like to see. Thanks a lot. Give us a subscribe, and look forward to the next video.